Okay, fuck it. My audio's good enough. I've been kind of struggling against my microphone with my 3D printed pop mic and just overall kind of cheap construction. Um, so I've been seeing a lot on the internet, just kind of people pointing the finger and sort of misunderstanding certain concepts, at least in my view, misunderstanding what other people are saying and then sort of like projecting their own feelings and life experiences about what's being said. Um, what came up today, I was watching a really great video by Slant 3D on toxic work. And I think he said like a lot of really good things about toxic work and hustle culture. But I think it's sort of,
Good afternoon.
oh shit, missing the central point. So this is you should go check out this channel if you enjoy 3D printing like I do. Um, but basically, he's a very successful business guy, and so he was just sort of making the argument like, yeah, you can overwork, and when you overwork, you can neglect family, and you can end up sort of unhappy because of it. But overall, like work is meaningful, and if you don't get things in life if you don't work, and everybody that he sort of knows, like you got to account for your time, really track it. When you do that, you don't really end up misjudging your time and its value in relation to your emotional life as well. Okay, that I think everything you said was accurate. Um, but the sort of thing that gets missed and with a lot of people, and possibly just because they don't have sort of like especially like very detail oriented like parts engineers, robotics sort of people, and plenty of other people as well, is when some people say hustle culture, like especially me, if I'm complaining to somebody I like know pretty well, I'm often not referring to like what one person does with their time. I'm talking about what all of society does and how we feel about time, right? So like primarily what people want is to be able to live somewhere where they like, one, the facilities work, right? Like they want to have a home. Um, they want to have things nearby that are interesting to do. Most importantly, they want to be surrounded by other people that they feel a connection with and that they feel safe around, right? They want community. Okay. Um, and what we end up doing in order to get these three things, right? When you talk about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, no one really debates about people's ability to get food, water, shelter, heating, and in our, for its faults, the policing of our society actually works really well, and the military is probably overdone. Even like these things are probably like overdone for the we get very marginal benefits from any increasing in funding and sort of participation in it as a society. Um, when people talk about hustle culture and they sort of are like a long range thinker, like that's just like their archetype in society's mind. They're talking about we're overworking and then we neglect these three things altogether, and we think that we're gonna get a nice house, a place to live in, and people were surrounded by working. And sometimes you can get that, and there's plenty of stories of like, okay, I get to be like a movie star now, and now I have a nice house, I'm surrounded by all these people. But the vast majority of people, like office workers, you just end up with a bunch of like corporate people, and you don't really get along with most of them except for like you're all kind of pretty smart and you have some things to talk about perhaps, but you're not like good friends, and you also don't like live with them. You don't do a lot of things in common. In fact, like the entire paradigm of corporatism is to specialize in one thing that like you do really well and you can almost do it by yourself, and then you get your chunk of work done, and then you all have a bullshit meeting, and then you like talk about it for a bit, and then you go home and never see and hopefully never even think about these people again. In fact, like it's kind of repulsive to think about your work people. There's like a meme in South Park like, oh, you can't like date somebody that you know at work. It's like disgusting. It makes me vomit. um let's go back to the center, like really the center here. uh Hustle culture the problem with hustle culture is that it destroys a semblance of community in your local space, right? You no longer are focusing on like literally the 2 kilometers around you anymore. You get into a whole bunch of societal problems where like now I'm commuting really far to work because I'm trying to make a whole bunch of money in order to buy a house in a good zip code in order to be around a bunch of people instead of being like, here's where I am at this house. I can't change too much about this house, but here's the thing is like I need to cultivate a community, right? Or like society itself and the entire paradigm of what we tell other people and that creation process that happens when people open their mouth to speak to other people. You need to be telling people like, okay, you know what? Like work is important. You need to build houses, but in society, we do not produce the quantities of stuff that we actually want to produce. In some sense, we have a market failure because the things that we are looking for are tremendously difficult to quantify. In our capitalistic society, it's extremely good at a lot of things. It is not good at the 2 things that come to mind just because I kind of think about these things is it doesn't account for like negative costs of things very well. Like, what is the cost of carbon emissions in reality? Like, one, we don't know that, so how could it possibly make a judgment? But also waste products like fecal material that needs to get disposed of, and you know, garbage disposal, like things like this sort of accumulate in people's houses because there's no like the hoarding can become an issue because people kind of just have a troubling time with this thing. The other thing it has difficulty with is things that you just can't put like numerical values on at all, like love. Like there's the expression in society like you can't buy love, and like one of the things if you're like paying attention on the internet right now, you might see is kind of like all these like TikToks or whatever the fuck people are watching about like, oh, fucking all women are this way, or like, you know, like I can't find a good man because I'm a woman who makes a ton of money, and then like now I don't want to partner up with like some broke ass dude. When this woman is like in you know, let's not like they're average. Like if they're just like an average person, they're looking for like a high status man because they make a bunch of money. They're like average in every field except for their capacity to make money. You get a bunch of these like things in society that are sort of trying to like invoke capitalism into them, like, oh, like you know, money buys women, and like in order to be someone you gotta like make this much money and like be this productive, and it sort of just misses the point. um I'm definitely going. I hope that this is not my magnum opus on the topic. Like, I really just came in here sort of to break the ice on the ability to sort of talk about these discussions. I'm trying to make a spaceship right now, and this is just like how I set up OBS. Like, oh, I already have like a little thing. I feel the energy's good right now to be speaking. And I would also prefer as like a content creator to make things that like make people happy instead of just like seeing on the internet like, oh, like why are things so hard? People discuss like, why are things so hard? I can't quite put my finger on why things are so hard, but it's actually like really obvious because we've like kind of neglected community building, and sort of like letting go of like having open capacity to receive from the universal consciousness, sort of like including like other people which are in fact part of the universal consciousness. Like I am part of the universe speaking to you right now, actually, right? Like I'm actually this, and we're all little neurons that are talking with each other. The negation of this sort of thing because you're just so like busy with your productivity of like 3D printed parts. Like you should take pride in your productivity and your ability to do work, but it becomes toxic way quicker than people think. Like I live in the Silicon. In fact, I live at my mom's house. I live at my mom's house in the Silicon Valley, and there are people here I know they have like $200,000 you know, a year salaried jobs, and they're like younger. Actually, the guy I know is a year younger than me. I'm 26. He's 25. Um, he's on a dual income with his fiance, uh, and they're like always kind of like, okay, how the hell do we like really get a place that works well for us here? Because like we have this tremendous income, and it's still like 10 years to get a house, and it's like, do we, kind of want to do that on such a like a large income? And what kind of happens in the Bay Area is like so much money floods into the Bay Area, right? Uh, like for instance, just like last week, I found out that like probably like half of Nvidia are like like millionaires, like have $10 million plus from stock. Um, and they're doing crazy stuff with the AI all over here. So there's just money pouring in all the time. And so there's like all these people who are just like, you get the same house, like the house that was worth like $400,000 is worth like $2 million now, right? To throw out some number, and people are just like working, working, working all the time. And the fucking target keeps like always moving away, and it's because like, okay, people just want to live in good communities, and they like, I'm gonna buy my way into this good community and like get there and get the thing I want, instead of identifying like, how can I just have this right now? And I can't blame them, because you need a critical mass of individuals thinking this way before that line of thought can result in anything that manifests within a lifetime, right? Like, let me pose an example, like a very real thing that I am considering. Like, I have put the wheels in sort of motion on like actually doing, is like going and starting my own community with somebody who is also trying to start a community somewhere that is rural, right? Like most people are not willing to do that. Like I'm interested in doing that kind of work. A lot of people are not. They would like to live in sort of like a suburbia, and like I guess my goal is like I sort of want to live around a bunch of other people like a suburbia, but I realized that's just not possible for me to do, right? And so I'm a little bit like predisposed towards contrarianism, and this might work out for me. But like other people are probably realizing like the game theoretics of the situation are like, I better stick with the system because I want something to happen within 10 years, and I want to be able to like buy my love. I want to be able to like find a girl who like takes me seriously because I'm not a broke dude. Um, and they're honestly making like a good call for themselves, but it ends up just being a game of the prisoner's dilemma, where like everybody is trying to go after something which is could be immediately. It's like like you can imagine easily this thing that you want, that you're like kind of causes you a lot of pain that you don't have, and it's not like a self-actualization goal that you want to spend a lot of time in, like my artwork here. Like I could just spend I make little spaceships and music and whatever, and I like I have a garden, and I like doing outside work and building stuff, but like this is kind of like my self-actualization work, right? Like I could just spend like infinite time in this, and like toxic overworking doesn't like really feel like a thing here, because like it's so high up on the pyramid. It's not like my sense of security and like my wages and like, oh, if I stop going to work suddenly I'm gonna be on the streets. I'm not threatened in that way like other people are. uh it's just, I'm sorry for being scattered. This is actually just like my personality as like an individual. um but try to stick with like the couple things that come out as recurring themes and things that I bring up. um I'm tired of this game theory thing where like people just can't get what they want directly, when you can easily imagine getting the thing that you want directly. It's not like a fundamental force of nature that is causing this. It's just like game theory with other humans of like what I can get right now as quickly as possible from other humans. That is what is preventing us from like breaking away from the old paradigm and like doing something radically new, right? I think this was I'm rejoining the thread that I like started earlier, and I finally like rejoined it after going tangent to it. But the like I the only way to sort of change the world really is to identify the source of your pain, which I'm going to assert for a lot of people, it might be not known to you, or like maybe I've said it perfectly, or maybe I'm a complete fool. Let me know in the comments. So that you want somewhere stable that you can develop infrastructure at, that is a house or apartment, right? Like you can set up a computer, you can set up shelves that you don't run out of space, you can kind of get into a groove of things. You want to be surrounded by you want to be in a safe community, and you want to have other people, especially sexual opportunities around, right? Or like business opportunity, like people that you can like do stuff with primarily. It doesn't have to necessarily be fuck. You can like have a lot of other friends that are very important to you. Like you need some other musicians around in order to kind of like keep you going, right? On whatever goal. Or you need like other kinds of artists. The uh this is my life because I live at home. Um these kinds of things are what we all want, and like we need to just like sort of let it be known to ourselves and really grasp it before anything will change, because we're not going to come to real solutions on this if we're all just like coping with like dumb shit that's wrong, like oh yeah, some fucking person on Twitter is saying that and everyone's going insane. Like no, it's not. It's like it's literally like very rational people like me and you who are like looking at the game theoretics and being like, oh, this is fucked. How do you like solve the prisoner's dilemma? Is you like raise your total consciousness and you come at the problem from a place of less pain and less desperation and more patience and more virtue, right? Okay, thank you very much for listening. This has gone on way too long, and I've definitely gone tangent, so hopefully you've enjoyed it anyways. Bye.